So good evening, yes. Good evening, everyone.
Good
So
evening.
welcome to my training on performance testing and engineering live training, right? And my welcome to my YouTube channel. This is for recording purposes. Okay. So these are my course contents for this performance testing training. So I'll start with software development life cycle and testing life cycle, and I will performance testing life cycle, right? And I will explain like requirement gathering, general architectural and business requirements. Most of you are trained on manual testing, isn't it? Functional testing, isn't it?
Yes.
Yes.
Right. So I'll be covering all these concepts like in the next 1 or 2 weeks. It will take like 1 to 2 weeks for me to cover these performance testing fundamentals, basic concepts. And what is performance testing? What is performance test plan and its components? Right? What are the different types of performance testing and their significance? Right? And all these basics I will cover in the first 2 weeks, and then we will start the JMeter test. Okay. So once we have our first 2 weeks or first 1 week, I will conduct an online assessment, right? So we will be having weekly assessments, which will be online assessments. All right. So every week, like we will be having one online assessment, like having like 15 questions, 15 multiple choice questions to be answered in 15 minutes. All right, guys. So let me get started. So before that, let me give a brief introduction about myself. So this is about my performance testing career. I have 15 years of performance experience in performance testing and engineering. Right. So I started my career with AppLabs Technologies. So if you know, right. So if you heard about AppLabs, right? AppLabs is the world's first largest independent software testing company. It is the first largest independent software testing company, right? That means like some other companies will be doing development. AppLabs started as a pure software testing company. All right. So there I got a chance to work on multiple tools like Load Runner, WebLoad, Silk Performer in retail, healthcare, and banking and finance domains, as you can see here. And in after AppLabs Technologies, I worked on Tech Mahindra. So where I worked on multiple protocols of Load Runner mostly over there. So which I have listed some here. So apart from the regular web protocol, I got a chance to work on True Client, Java vUser, Citrix, ComDecom, Oracle NC8, Oracle 2-tier, Oracle Web Apps 11a, and so on. And after Tech Mahindra, I joined Bank of America. Bank of America is one product-based company where I learned a lot actually. Like it's actually that experience, which gave me confidence to conduct these trainings. Right. So in Bank of America, I got exposure to banking domain, and I got a chance to work on all these tools like JMeter, Jenkins, Splunk, Introscope, Dynatrace, WebLogic Console, OEM, and all this. Right. So AppWatch and capacity planning test, apart from the regular load and soak test. And I am a certified associate in JMeter, Splunk, and Dynatrace. And next company that I worked is InnoMinds. InnoMinds is one of the top 10 dream companies to work for, and it won like National Best Employer Award for a couple of years, not just 2018. So it won like one of the like National Best Employer brand for like around 2 to 3 years. Apart from that, SAP Labs is one product-based company that I worked as a principal performance engineer, and later on I worked for State Street. So this is my previous company actually. So I had to update this slide. So this is one of the product-based company that I worked for, State Street, if you heard it, right? So this is briefly about myself, guys. So, and these are the unique features of my training. So we will have for first 5 to 10 minutes, we will have like aptitude test for first 5 to 10 minutes, and daily assessment for next 5 to 10 minutes, right? And the theory or scripting sessions for 50 to 60 minutes per day. Typically my session will be like 1.5 hours. So for the first till the performance testing basics are completed, we will be having 1 hour session. Once we start the tool, right, so we'll be having 1.5 hour session, and this is the breakup of that 1.5 hour session. The last 10 minutes will be dedicated for Q&A and doubt clarification, or if there are any script issues or even tool issues, right? So we can discuss those in the last 10 minutes of the session. So I made scripting simplified and easy to understand for even a non-computer science, right? And scripting hands-on mandatory for every participant. Everyone should work on the script and share it to me for review. That's which is mandatory, right? And those who are attending JMeter training, right? So you can so I will help you or guide you to complete the JMeter certification with BlazeMeter University, okay, which is a free certification. So it's absolutely free of cost. So BlazeMeter JMeter certification with BlazeMeter University, that's absolutely free of cost, right? And this in load runner, I will be covering web and web services two client. Two client is an optional thing in load runner. In JMeter, I will be covering web protocol and API testing. Okay, so hands-on training on scripting. So you have to, I will cover like 4 to 5 sample applications and one real-time application. Yes, for this batch, for this particular batch, right? 4 to 5 sample applications, as well as like I will cover either 1 to 2 real-time applications. Okay, that's more than enough, guys. I'll be covering Udemy application as a real-time application for scripting and test executions, because sample applications are simple to do, right? So once we cover all these sample applications, like I will cover Udemy application. Okay, let me put it in this way. I will try to cover 2 applications, right, if time permits. Otherwise, minimum like I will be covering 1 real-time application for scripting and test executions, right? And sprint-based model applied to training. Yes, I want to explain this. So you might have heard of this, right? So sprint planning, and you might have you are aware of this agile methodology, like where we'll have 2-week sprints, and are you aware of all those?
Yeah, yes.
Yes.
Okay. So we will apply that sprint-based model to the training. That means, like we will. So in the first week, on Monday we'll have a sprint planning meeting for 15 minutes, and we will discuss what I am going to cover, like what we are going to cover in this 2 weeks. We'll divide the 2 weeks as our fortnight as one sprint, right? And we will plan for that sprint, and we'll apply that sprint based model. You'll understand soon, like what is the sprint based model applied to training, right? So apart from this, like we can have this table topics and presentation by participants, and I am leveraging certain digital platforms for trainings, for training assignments and assessments. So I'll be using Google Classroom for giving assignments, and couple of websites for other websites for for online assessments, right? So, and we will be having, as I mentioned previously, we will be having weekly assessments, online assessment, and at the end of the month we will be having one more assessment for 30 questions with 30 questions. Weekly assessment will be for 15 questions, and monthly assessment will be for 30 questions, guys, right? So this is for those, like placement assistance is for those like who are in job search case, right? As part of placement assistance, like I will be helping you to prepare a proper CV, and I will be giving real-time project training on weekends, right? Which is a classroom training. This is for those who are in job search. Okay, so I will be giving real-time project on weekends, and once the training is once one tool is completed, right, I will schedule like 5 mock interviews. First mock interview I will take myself, and the remaining 4 mock interviews will be taken by my friends who are working in service-based and product-based companies. All right. So these are the salient features or unique features of my training base. Okay. So I can, what is this earn while you learn, right? There is one more thing called earn while you learn, right? So that we can discuss, after once you confirm your joining, like I will discuss, I will explain that, right? And that is for someone who is in job search phase. Okay. Now let me start with, I hope you are aware of all these Windows shortcuts and Zoom meeting shortcuts, because we will be using Zoom meeting throughout the training. I want everyone to be comfortable with the Zoom meeting shortcuts. Before going to that, right, so let me cover few very important Windows shortcuts which everyone has to know, and you have to use these guys, right? So if you don't know, please start using these shortcuts. If you are already using, well and good, right? But if you are not using that, please start using this Windows shortcuts. Please give me a moment. Okay. First Windows shortcut that I want everyone to use is like Alt Tab, right? You may be knowing this. You might be already using this one, right? So if you want to switch between so Alt Tab is used for switching between the open windows, isn't it? See, so we have some windows open here. Chrome, one for Chrome, and then Chrome browser, one for Notepad++ and all this, isn't it? Suppose you want to switch between those two, between those open windows, right? You will be using Alt tab together, isn't it? Now Chrome is selected, as you can see here. Clear, guys?
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
So this is one shortcut that everyone should know. This is Zoom meeting, right? So if you want to switch, move to other one, like you will be using Alt tab again, right? This is Notepad, now Notepad++ is selected and so on, right? So this is one shortcut that I want everyone to use and start use, so that like it will be really helpful if you want to, like, instead of using mouse, right? And if you want to go to the desktop, if you want to see the desktop, right, you may be knowing this, we have to use Windows D, isn't it? Type Windows D to go to see the desktop,
Yes.
right? And the other shortcut is Windows E for opening a file explorer in Windows operating system, isn't it? So where Windows E, in Windows E, this E stands for Explorer, Windows Explorer, or a file explorer. So I'm using Windows E now, right? So this is how it opens, right? File explorer will be open and you can navigate to any folder, whatever folder you want to navigate, isn't it? Right? So this is something which I want everyone to be familiar with. And apart from that, we have F11 is another shortcut. So F11 is used for maximizing the windows, right? So let's show that F11. So what is the purpose of that? Suppose if you want to maximize windows, you will use that. Let's say, for example, so here you are using, right now we are using Chrome browser, isn't it? Suppose if you want to see the maximized view of this, simply click function F11. Oh, I'm sorry, F11 on your keyboard, guys. Everyone, please click F11 on your keyboard when you are open a browser and try F11, guys. Right? And this is how it looks like once I click on F11. You observe the difference, right, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
And if you want to revert it back, like again, press F11 again, right? And now, so that is one shortcut that I want everyone to be familiar with. And you already know this Control-C, Control-X, and Control-V. You already know this, right? And one shortcut. So guys, like as there are some non-computers, guys, I'm starting from here, guys. Okay, as we have some non-computers, guys, as well, right? The batch. So I'm starting from here, isn't it? Right. So the next shortcut I want everyone to be familiar with, quick access. In Windows operating system, we have something called quick access. See, let's say, for example, let me give some example. Suppose I have JMeter installed in my G drive, right? In G drive, I have a folder called tools, inside which I have different versions of JMeter, as you can see here. So I regularly visit this folder. I regularly come to this. I want to access this folder very frequently. Okay, then what you can do is, like, you can add this, any of this particular folder to your quick access, so that you need not every time you want to come to this folder, right? You need not go to G drive, tools, Apache JMeter 5.4.3 and bin. So how to add this to quick access is, so go to home, right? Once you are in that particular folder, right? Click on this home. I'm using Windows 10, by the way, right? So if someone is anyone having Windows 11, guys? So the options may be, the UI may be slightly different. Okay. So once you go to any particular folder which you want to add to quick access, go to click on this home and simply click on this pin to quick access. Clear, guys? I think it's already added. That's why, it's disabled now. Let me do one thing. I will add some other folder. Let's say, for example, I want to add this Elastic APM, right? So once you are in that folder, go to home and use this option pin to quick access. Now you can see that, that will be added to this. Here you can see now. This is added to quick access just now. And you see a pin symbol over here. So the next time when you want to access that folder, you want to go to that folder, right? So you can open a file explorer and simply select that folder from here, isn't it? You'll directly go to that folder. Clear, guys?
Yes.
Yes.
And coming to Zoom meeting shortcuts, guys, like, these are simple to understand and remember. So if you want to mute or unmute, you can use Alt A, Alt for alter, right? Alt means alter, right? So this is the short form of alter. Alter means, what is the meaning of alter? This general meaning of alter.
Alter means like switching.
Duplicate which another one.
Yeah,
Switching.
alternate switching. Yeah.
Alter means change. No,
Yes.
general meaning of alter is change, right? So if you want to mute or unmute, you can use Alt A for audio. Okay. So in the same way, if you want to turn on or turn your video on or off, right? You can use Alt V, right? And if you want to temporarily unmute, simply press and hold the space bar. Use space bar. Simply press and hold the space bar. That will temporarily unmute you. Okay. And Alt H is for chat, to bring up the chat window. I'm using Alt H now, right? So wait, you should be on the Zoom meeting selected. 1 second. Oh, so seems like, like this is here, as I'm using Google Slides, right? So it is opening up shortcut over here. So let me go to desktop and let me use that Alt H. I'm sorry. What is the shortcut for this guys? 1 second. Yeah, so now it worked. So I used Alt H. I'm closing it. Again, I'm trying Alt H. Right? You can try guys along with me. Please try on your machine. If you want to drop some chat message, right, this will be helpful. Okay. Right?
Yeah,
and if you want to share the screen, right, use Alt S. Right? If you want to share your screen, right, you can use Alt S. Right? So these are some important shortcuts that related to Zoom meeting. Right? So please start using these Windows shortcuts, guys, going forward, or and you should be familiar with all these Windows shortcuts, guys. Right? The next one that I want to cover is some some basic computer concepts like IP address, IPv4, what is public IP, what is private IP, and all this. Right? So I named this, these concepts are this slide as KYC, know your computer. Right? Of course, we know that KYC stands for know your client. Right? So anyways, as it is matching with, the third letter is computer here. So I named it as know your computer. Okay. So the first thing I want to cover this over here is IP address. Okay. And everyone know like how to check the IP address of your machine, isn't it? Yes or no?
Can you show it once?
Yeah. So, okay. Saurabh, how to check the IP address of your machine?
Yeah, I only asked actually.
Oh, you only asked. Okay, yeah. Sorry. So let me show you that. So simple way to check the IP address of the machine is open a command prompt.
PMD and icon.
ipconfig. In Windows operating system, you can use this command ipconfig, and this is your IP address. This is my IP address of my machine, right? IPv4 address. You see some number over here, right?
Yes, yes.
So this is your IP address, right? So if it is Linux, if it is Mac OS or something, you have to use a command ifconfig, or Linux if you have to use ifconfig, right? In Windows operating system, you have to use ipconfig. Clear? And now there are a lot of statements over here. Let's understand this. Let's interpret this. Observe here, I am connected to Wi-Fi now. So here you can see that, I am connected to Wi-Fi, right? So you have to look at your, the IP address which is being shown under this wireless LAN adapter Wi-Fi. If you are connected to a LAN cable, right? So you will see the IP address in a different section. You will see it under over here, somewhere over here, wireless LAN adapter or something, right? The output will be different if you are connected to a LAN cable, guys, in your office, right? But however, as of now, I am connected to Wi-Fi, and this becomes my private IP 192.168.0.134, right? Please read it as 192. Okay, 192.168.0.0 is pronounced as O. You may be knowing, some of you may be knowing, right? .134. It should be read like that, right? Don't read it as point. It should be read as dot. Clear, guys? right? So this is about IP address, and the next one is IPv4 and IPv6. So I currently, like, my machine is displaying IPv4 address here, and this is my IPv6 address. Observe here. This is my IPv6 address, right? So when we have IPv4, previously we used to have only IPv4 address. Now we have IPv6 address as well, right? So this is something, you know, as then all the permutations and combinations of with these, you know, 4 set of numbers are exhausted, right? IPv6 was introduced. Okay, let me give one analogy here. The first time when we had mobile devices, right, SIM cards, right, our mobile numbers used to start with number 9, isn't it?
Yes.
So once all those numbers are exhausted, right, so then 8 series was started, and then 7 series, 6 series, all these are started,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yeah.
So in the same way, all the permutations and combinations possible with this four set of numbers are over. So that's the reason, that can be one of the reason why this IPv6 address is introduced. Okay. So, and what is this IP address, right? So let's understand what is this IP address. So if you are connected to, let's say you are connected to your office network, right? There should be some way to uniquely identify each machine. Yes or no? Suppose you want to do some file transfer. You want to transfer some files, without email, without using email or something. You want to share files, or if you want to transfer files, or you want to connect to a remote machine. There should be some way to uniquely identify each machine, right?
Yeah.
Right. So for that, we have something called this private IP. Okay. This is private. Please remember, this is private IP. Okay. Now, if you're connected to an office network, right? So let's say, for example, I am connected to my home network, and this laptop IP address is 134. And I have one more machine on the connected to at my home, that is my office laptop, and its IP address is 144. 192. The first 3 set of numbers remain same, whereas like this last number differs. And the IP address of that of my office laptop is 144. Clear, guys? So just to uniquely identify each computer connected to a network, we have this private IP. Clear, guys? Private IP means this number is valid within the network. Understood?
Yes.
Let me give one analogy. Otherwise, like, suppose you are staying in a gated community or an apartment, right? So if your neighbor asks you, where do you stay? You will simply say your flat number. You say something like, I'm staying in flat number 101 or 102 or something, right?
Yeah.
Because he is your neighbor, and he knows, like, he also stays with you in the same apartment, right? But if an outsider asks you, right? If an outsider asks you, where do you stay? Do you say that I stay in flat number 101?
No.
No, right? So you will tell some your apartment name, building name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right? Because he will not know, like an outsider will not know, like, where is that flat numbers and all, isn't it? So in the same way, so this private IP is within this network. This private IP is used to uniquely identify the machines within the same network, right? But to the external world, right? Now let's understand what is, see, this is private IP. Now let's understand what is public IP. So public IP is something like which helps to identify a computer for the external world. And how to check the IP? Public IP is, you open any browser and type what is my IP, or what is my IP, or what is my IP address. Can everyone please do that, guys? Can everyone check what is private IP of your machine and what is public IP, and ping it in Zoom chat to me?
Yeah, sure.
Please first check private IP, and please share your private IP, guys, everyone, and share it in the Zoom chat, please. I want from all the 11 participants. Did anyone join from mobile, guys? Mobile also will have some IP address, by the way. I received from 2 people till now. Okay, so don't paste everything. I want only IP address. Siva, I want only IP address of your laptop. Can you post it again? Rajesh, are you with us? Can you please check the IP address of your machine and post it in the Zoom chat? Okay, Rajesh joined from mobile. Okay. Now, Amitabh, that may be your, whatever you have posted, right? That should be your IPv6 address, isn't it? Right. Okay. Now, let's go to how to check the public IP, right? So open any browser and type what is my IP address or what is my IP, and go to any of the links, right? And this is the public IP, guys. Let me show. So this is my public IP 103.140.231.234. That is my public IP. And what does that tell you is, like, see, if you observe here, this particular website is showing you what is the ISP. What is ISP, guys? By the way, what is the full form of ISP?
Internet service provider.
Internet service provider, right? So I'm using Zoom Fiber. So observe here. Observe here what is the other information that is being displayed here. It shows your internet service provider. Where are you located, right? And region, it is showing the region and country, right? So what does this information help you, or what does this public IP address help you is, when it will help us to identify the IP address of the machine or location of the machine connected to internet, right? Public IP helps us to identify or uniquely identify each machine connected to a network, to internet. Clear, guys?
Yeah.
Right.
So
Or what
if
is
one machine is not
what is
connected
my
to
IP
internet.
also? What is that?
Hello.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm asking if some machine is not connected to internet, so can't we find its public IP?
You will not have a public IP in that case.
Okay.
It is not
What
connected
is
to an
connected
internet.
through any VPN, then it will change the address.
Okay. If you are connected to VPN, what if you are connected to VPN? Good question. Madhuri, is it Madhuri?
Yes, it's me.
Okay. So I have to check that. I didn't check that anytime.
Yeah, if I connected with VPN now,
Okay.
just it is showing me Bangalore location. That is, VPN is related to Bangalore office.
Okay. Okay. No. I am check the IP address without VPN and with VPN.
Okay, I will check.
Yeah. So coming back to this, so this is my public IP, right? So you can search this website as well. This is my public IPv4 address, right? So you can see it here. The IP address is same here, irrespective of whatever website you are checking, right? You can see here 103.140.231. One second, I'll come to you. So 103.140.231.234, right? That's what it is being displayed here as well, isn't it? And you can see the IP location is Nanakramguda TGIN, right? TG for Telangana. Okay. And ISP is Zoom Fiber Solutions. Anyways, so this is, you need to understand this public IP and you should know how to check the public IP. Okay. And what is the difference between, I hope you understood, like, what is the difference between a private IP and a public IP. So this is the IP address with which I will be visible to the external world. Clear, guys? When I'm connected to internet, right? This is the IP address with which I'm visible to the external world. Clear, guys?
Yeah.
And this is something, private IP is something which is
within my network,
local to the network, your network that you are connected, isn't it?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Within the network. This IP address is within the network, and this is to the external world when you are connected to internet. This is the IP address, or this helps me to identify my machine over internet. Clear, guys? So this is all about, like, what you have to learn about public IP, what you have to know about public IP and private IP. And next one is host name. Host name is nothing but your computer name, right? Host name is nothing but your computer name. And how to check the host name of your machine is simply type host name on the command prompt, right? And this is my computer name, guys, right? And you can also check here. You can go to my computer properties and you can check there as well, right? So you can open this PC, right click on this PC, and you can go to properties and you can check that machine name over here as well. Let me quickly show that. So here you can see this is the device name, nothing but my machine name. Clear, guys? And you can rename this. You can, by using this option, rename this PC. You can change the name as well. Actually, this is a laptop, but like by the installation that it was given as named as desktop TNT. That is a name default given by default. Of course, you can change that name by using this rename this PC option. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. So host name means nothing but your device name or your computer name. Okay. 1 second. Next thing that you should know is port number. So port number means this is a software port. We will come to this like once we start with the scripting with our sample application. I will, we'll anyways have to know this. We'll come across this. I'll explain at that time. And LAN and WAN you should be knowing already. If not, like LAN stands for local area network and WAN stands for wide area network, right? So, and the ping command is used like if you want to communicate or if you want to check with some other machine on your network. Let's say, for example, I just now told that, like I have one more machine, office machine, connected to network at home, right? So let me quickly confirm the IP address of that machine. Please give me a moment. I'm just checking the IP address of that machine. So to show you like how to use the ping command. Yeah, so it's 192.168.0.188. So that is the current IP address of my office laptop case. Right now, I'll do one thing. So I'll type 192.168.0.188. That is the IP address of my another laptop that I am having connected to my home Wi-Fi. 192.168.0.188. So let me show you that. Right now, see here. So you are getting a reply from that machine, right? That means these two machines are able to communicate with each other. You see here, right? Reply from 192.168.0.188, bytes 32, time 37 milliseconds, TTL, time to last byte. TTL is time to last byte, right? So if you get a response like this, right, that means these two machines are able to communicate with each other. Okay. If the machine is down, if that particular machine is shut down, right? So you will receive a message saying that request timed out if that machine is not running currently. Clear, guys? Or if you are unable to communicate with that machine, you will get a message saying that request timed out. Okay. So this is how we use ping command to check if you are able to communicate with another computer connected to your network. So we use this ping command. And FQDN stands for fully qualified domain name. So I'll explain this later. Once we get the context, I'll explain that later. Right. Next thing you have to know is firewall. So firewall is something which which protects your computer from the external world, isn't it? So you may and how to check the firewall? So you simply type in the search box, Windows search box, type firewall.cpl. Sorry. Where CPL stands for control panel. So here you can see CPL stands for control panel, right? So click enter, it will show you firewall on your machine, right? And what does this firewall does, guys? You see here, Windows Defender firewall can help prevent. Let me highlight that. So Windows Defender firewall can help prevent hackers or malicious software from gaining access to your PC through the internet or a network, right? So every machine has something called this firewall Windows Defender firewall mechanism, which prevents hackers or malicious software from gaining access to your PC through the internet or a network. And this is about firewall. Just need to know what is meant by a firewall. So Google search if you want to learn more about it. Simply, I'll share this content, this training material to you. So what you can simply do is like right click on that, double click on that, and use this option explore firewall, right? It will open the Google search results as you can see on the right side. Yes, everyone is able to see this, right?
Yes.
So you can go through this, like if you want to explore further on that, please go through these articles or Google search results, right? So if you want to learn about any particular thing, so simply double click it and use this option, explore option, and you will get the Google search results of Google search results. Okay.
Okay.
Right? Next thing you have to know is host file. Again, I will cover this concept later. What is host file and what is the purpose of this host file? I will cover it later. And command prompt and elevated command prompt. You know, everyone know what is command prompt and how to open a command prompt, right? So just now we opened a command prompt and we tried some commands over here, isn't it? Now this is a normal command prompt base. So please understand that. So by default, if you type CMD, right, it will open a normal command prompt, right? Now let me explain what is this elevated command prompt. Elevated command prompt is nothing but command prompt with admin privileges. Okay, command prompt with admin privileges. Now, so and where do we require this is if you want to execute some commands, right? Few commands, we need a admin permission or admin privileges on that machine. And how to open an elevated command prompt is type CMD here in Windows search box and use this option run as administrator, right? And if you observe here now, it is showing here administrator command prompt, right? And this administrator command prompt is also called as elevated command prompt. Elevated means elevated with respect to privileges or permissions. Clear, guys?
So what kind of permissions we can have here that we don't have in the normal command prompt?
If you want to execute some commands, right? So we need admin privileges. So to execute those commands, I don't have a list handy. I'll like I will discuss that again in tomorrow's session. What kind of commands to execute, what kind of commands we have to use this. I don't have the list of commands handy, right? So for now, remember that if you want to have open a command prompt with admin privileges, right? So we have to open type CMD in the search box and use this option run as administrator. And in the title bar, it will show as administrator command prompt, right?
Okay.
And any command, most of the commands can be executed from this administrator command prompt, right? And this is about elevated command prompt. That is called as elevated command prompt. And Windows PowerShell, we will discuss that later as well, right? So apart from these, like I want everyone to be comfortable or familiar with these, what is operating system, what is system configuration, right? So can you tell what is operating system? So Vamsi, what is meant by an operating system, Vamsi?
Operating system is like you can tell like it's an application.
It's a software which operates
software which operates which performs particular tasks.
Right. So it is a software which operates your system or which operates your computer, right? Right. So explore more on that, like just, simply select this and use this option again. Explore operating system. Go through this, right? It is a system software that manages your computer hardware, software resources, and provides common services and blah, 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 right? So explore more on that, but you should be aware of all these, you should be in a stage to answer, like if someone asks you what is operating system and how to check the system configuration, how to check your system configuration, you should be like comfortable or familiar with this technology or these concepts, right? The next thing I want everyone to know is what is your system configuration, right? Or how to check your system configuration. Let me close these command prompts. How to check your system configuration. Guys, how to check the system configuration, guys? I hope everyone joined through laptop, right? So can you check your system configuration and post it in the Zoom chat, guys, quickly? Yes, please check your system configuration and post it in the Zoom chat. I didn't get any single response till now. Or you want to me explain that? You want me to explain that? Few of you are from computers background only, right?
Yeah, can you explain that?
Okay. So how to check the system configuration? When I say system configuration, so what is the processor? What is the processor configuration? What is the RAM size or RAM capacity on your machine? Right. One simple way is to right click and open Task Manager. Right click on the taskbar at the bottom, right, and open Task Manager, or else in the search window you can type Task Manager in the Windows search box. We call this as Windows search box, right? Hold on. So we call this as Windows search box, isn't it? So
Yes.
type here, you can type Task Manager over here, right? Or else you can right click on the taskbar at the bottom and you can open this Task Manager. Can you please do that, everyone?
Yeah.
And go to Performance tab. Please go to Performance tab. And here you can check your system configuration. Observe here, right? This is my system configuration. The processor model is Intel Core i7 processor and 9750H CPU at 2.6 gigahertz. What are the things that you should know is your processor model and your processor generation, right? And which generation processor is this case? Processor model is i7, right? You may be having i5 or i7 or i3.
Yeah.
Post your configuration, guys, everyone. Yes, you can check it from the, from this PC properties as well. You can check the same information from right click on this PC and go to properties. You can check the configuration there as well, right? Here you can see the processor model is
I can
Intel
check
Core
it, but I
i7.
can't copy it.
That you can copy it from here.
Right click, Saurav. There is an option.
No, not working for me, but yeah, I can check it.
Okay, that's fine. So just now let's understand what is this generation. So observe here, after this processor model, right, you have some number, right? The first number indicates your generation, processor generation. You might have heard this, right? 6th generation processor, 8th generation, 9th generation, 10th generation processor.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
This is what this number tells you, which generation processor your system has. So my laptop has 9th generation i7 processor. Clear, guys? And this is the clock speed of your processor. 2.6 gigahertz is the clock speed of your processor, right? And I have total 16 GB of RAM installed on my machine, right? You can check the same thing from your task manager as well. So if you go to memory, right, it will show you what is the total memory or total RAM on your machine. What does RAM stand for, by the way? RAM, what does RAM stand for? Indra? Random access memory, right? So I have 16 GB RAM installed on my machine, and observe here, there are, out of that 16 GB, see, the number that is being displayed here shows the total RAM capacity. Here you go, right? 16 GB, or let me highlight that, right? This is the total RAM installed on my machine, out of which 9.9 GB is already in use, and available free memory is 5.7 GB. There, guys. And one more thing you have to know is, like, observe here, there are 2 slots on my machine, out of which both of them are occupied. In case, why should you know this information is, if you want to upgrade the RAM, right, you have to check whether, you should know about these slots. How many on a laptop? Generally, there will be 2 slots. Okay. If it is a desktop machine, it will generally have 4 RAM slots. So this is my laptop on which I am having 2 RAM slots, out of which both are filled. That means I have 2 8 GB RAMs on my machine. Clear, guys? I have 2 8 GB RAMs installed on my machine, and this is the RAM clock speed. 2667 megahertz is the RAM clock speed. Clear, guys? Yeah. And we will discuss this, what is this cached and what is paged pool, non-paged pool, and all this information later on. When, if you get a context, we will discuss that. For now, this is enough. If you learn how to check your system configuration and how to check your RAM, system configuration, and what is the processor model and all this, which generation processor it is and all, right? And coming to hard disk, I have, so I don't have a hard disk actually. My machine has a SSD, right? What is SSD, guys, by the way? What does SSD stand for? What does SSD stand for, guys? Solid state drive. Yeah. So
Solid
someone
state drive.
right? SSD stands for solid state drive. So previously we used to have HDD, right? Can
Hard
you
disk drive.
your
Yeah.
hard disk, guys, everyone? So HDD means that is hard disk, right? So of course, right nowadays, like we have SSDs as well. SSDs came into picture, right? If you want to explore more on what is a SSD and what is the difference between hard disk and SSD, right? So HDD versus SSD, right? Google search like this and go through these articles, guys. Okay, I'll leave it as a DIY access, do it yourself access. All right. So I'll be giving assignments in Google Classroom. I'll be adding you to my Google Classroom and I'll be giving assignments once the session is over. Okay, whatever you have to explore for each day, right? So I'll be listing out there. All right.
Okay.
Right. The next thing, so guys, I asked you to share the system configuration. Everyone, please share your system configuration in the Zoom chat, guys. I want it from everyone. I got it from, let me check who all posted this. I got it from Siva. Siva, I don't want like that, identify what is your processor configuration, what is RAM and all separately and post that. Don't just copy paste. Please don't just copy paste. Okay. Next. So additional clocks we will use that. We'll discuss that going forward. But quickly let me show you. So observe here on my machine I added local time. See, by default you will have local time. When you are installing operating system, if you select the time zone, so by default it will show your local time, isn't it? Are you seeing on the top bottom left are you seeing 3 different clocks, guys? If I put my cursor on the date and time part,
Yeah.
right? You are seeing 3 different times, right? Local time and Eastern time and PST, right? So this is additional clocks, means I added 2 additional clocks, one for Eastern time, the other one for Pacific time. So we will discuss this, when this will be useful, why should we, why should be aware of that, and how can we effectively use that additional clocks. We'll discuss that when we are once we are done with the scripting and once we start the server monitoring, right? At that time we will discuss these points, right? Next one you have to know is remote desktop connection. If you want to connect to a remote machine, how do you connect to a remote machine, right? Suppose like when you are executing a test, or if you want to execute a test from
Server.
a remote machine, right? So this is how you have to connect to a remote machine. How to connect to remote machine, guys? In the Windows search box, there are multiple options, of course. In the
Remote
Windows
desktop.
search box, you can type remote and you get this remote desktop connection, and you type the IP address of that remote machine. Remote machine means some other machine which you want to connect, right? And you remember, like I told you, I have one more laptop at my home, right? And this is the IP address of that machine, right? Of course, remote desktop connection should be enabled on that machine. Then only we will be able to connect. Okay, and this is how it looks like once you enter the IP address and click on connect, right? It is saying initiating remote connection. Of course, like remote connection is not enabled actually. Remote access is, because that is my office laptop, by the way. Okay, so that's why like remote, we need admin privileges to turn that on. Okay, so but if you want to connect to a remote machine, this is how you can connect, right? In the Windows search box, either type remote to get this window, remote desktop connection window, and you enter the IP address and username here. If you want to enter the IP, if you want to save the username and all, right, you can give it over here, right? And one more way is you can type MSTSC in the Windows search box. You type MSTSC, where MSTSC stands for Microsoft Terminal Services Client. That will also launch this remote desktop connection. Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. Next thing you have to know is, of course, Windows shortcuts we already covered. And I request you to go through the Excel basics training, everyone, right? So because we will be predominantly using MS Office in our, in performance testing, or for that matter, any software engineer will be using, MS Word and Excel predominantly, mostly they will be using, right? So please go through that Excel basics training. You need not be an expert in Excel, but if you know basic, you have to know some Excel basics and Word basics, MS Word basics. So let me show you how to, if you are having your office laptop, right? So, can you please open Word on your machine, guys? Right?
Yeah,
And
sure.
if you go to help, right? If you go to help, right? And you see an option called show training, isn't it? Are you seeing this option?
Yeah.
I hope MS Office on your machine, right? Show training. Click on that show training and go through these short videos. All these videos will be for 4 to 5 minutes. That's it, right? How to create a document and how to edit a document, how to collaborate. So please go through these videos, short videos. You have a couple of short videos over here. So please go through that if you are not aware of, if you are not comfortable with Word as well as Excel. So again, in Excel, once you launch Excel, right? You go to help, open a blank workbook, go to help, and again you have an option called show training, right? So please go through these Excel video trainings, right? You have a couple of video trainings over here, right? There are less than 10 video trainings, right? Please go through that so that you will be comfortable with Excel, guys, right? So we'll be using both Word and Excel. Like when you are preparing a report, we'll be using Word document, and you know that, right? So when you are and Excel also, right? You need not be an expert in Excel. You need not know how to write macros and all, but you should be good in Excel basics at least. Everyone should be good in Excel basics and Word basics. Please, start working on that, right? So because like for the first 10 days, like you will not be having any assignments, scripting assignments. So you have to utilize this time and complete this Excel and Word basics test, everyone. So we'll have a quick assessment after 1 week. We'll have one assessment on this. Okay. And coming to the next point, next data point, we have something called static IP and dynamic IP, right? So now let's understand what is the static and dynamic IP. Just now we saw that we saw some IP address over here, right? We discussed prior, okay. No. So static IP and dynamic IP will be applicable for public IP, public IP space, right? So the IP address that I have shown just now, right? So this IP address will not be permanent. Means as far as I am using Zoom Fiber Solutions ISP, this IP address doesn't remain same. It may be changing. This IP address may be changing, right? So if it is if it doesn't change, right, that is static IP. If it is changing, that is dynamic IP. Okay, forget about whether it is public IP or private IP. If your IP address is changing from time to time, that is static dynamic IP. And if you have IP address which doesn't change, that is static IP. And by default, you will have dynamic IP only. If you want to have static IP, you need to pay some extra amount to the ISP, Internet Service Provider. Okay. Suppose I am using Zoom Fiber Solutions. If I want a static IP address, if I don't want to change the IP address of my machine, right? So if I want a static IP address, I have to pay some additional amount per month to my ISP. Okay. Understand that for now. Remember that the IP address that we are seeing is dynamic IP. It changes from time to time. And VPN also we will discuss. VPN stands for Virtual Private Network, right? We'll discuss that as and when we come across the context, some context, right? So next thing is WinSCP and PuTTY and environment variables. These also we'll be discussing. These last three concepts, right? We'll discuss like whenever we come across the context, we'll discuss. Okay. Let me separate this. Yeah. So these last three data points, right? We'll discuss as and when we get the context. So I'll stop it here, guys, for today. Before closing the session, I want to, I'll open the floor for any question and answers, Q&A.
Yes, I have one doubt, sir. Previously, you shown in comment prompt you entered your office laptop IP address, right?
Correct.
Can we enter any IP address which is not connected same Wi-Fi? Can we connect through different Wi-Fi systems? Or
Okay, not connected to the same LAN.
yes,
You can ping it, but you will not get a response.
okay,
You will see that request timed out.
okay,
Okay.
Okay.
You will not get a response because you are not connected to the same network. You will not get a response from that machine.
oh, okay. Thank you.
Okay. Any other questions, guys?
No, no.
All right. So I'm stopping my screen share and one second. So please like, share, subscribe to my YouTube channel. If you want to join live training, contact on the contact or call or WhatsApp on this number, guys. 90592193999. Thanks for watching and have a nice day.